For this session, I wrote 146 words. For this session, I wrote 121 words. For this session, I wrote 132 words. Think about all the good things which are outside of us as equally distant from our power. That is from René Descartes in his Discourse on Methods and Meditations on First Philosophy. But what is this thing that without any measure measures us and without existing kills us? It's in these moments when I don't even know if time exists that it seems to me like a person and I feel like going to sleep. No one understands anyone else. We are, as the poet said, islands in the sea of life. Between us flows the sea that defines and separates us. However much one soul strives to know another, he can only know what is told him by a word, a shapeless shadow of the ground of his understanding. Those last two passages were from the Book of Disquiet by Fernando Pessoa. Along with my readings of Descartes and my continued contemplation in Pessoa, I have been focusing on a few other books. I've been reading Seneca, Letters from a Stoic, Henry James, The Portrait of a Lady. I have been loving this, and Mr. Touchette's characterization of Lord Warburton to Isabel when she asked about his nature, that was so good. The way Henry James voiced through Mr. Touchette the idea that liberalism in England would not work so well as it does in the United States because it is not an innate and ingrained concept in England compared to the United States, where we were founded as a country in democracy. I thought that was such a profound observation, that though the sentiment for liberalism might be earnest, strong, and well-intended, it could only produce a superficial form of it, at least in this time period of the book, because the idea isn't native or inherent to the country. And I thought that was an interesting take on transplanted ideas, theories, and this makes me think of organ transplants in the body, where one might be able to obtain a second organ from a donor, but that transplantation process requires so many other supportive interventions to maintain. Likewise with philosophical transplants, they may only take with additional interventions, and yet its yield may still be less than in an environment where those ideas are more natural. Moving on, I am continuing my slow read of The Art of Choosing, as well as Either Or by Elif Batuman. I also have a handful of digital books I'm reading on my phone. They're kind of all over the place in terms of genre, with nonfiction and fiction interspersed. I even have a fan fiction that I have been diving into. I totally forgot about the existence of fan fiction for a long time. I remember I was in elementary school in my technology class where I was learning how to type with two hands, and I distinctly remember sneaking on to the web browser to read these fan fictions. At the time though, the rules for grading the maturity level of these fan fictions weren't as stringent, and I remember opening up a story and it being so incredibly explicit. I panicked and I thought I was going to be expelled. I thought I was sure to be found out, but fortunately the security measures at the time weren't as stringent, so I never got expelled, but it made me so scared to ever read fan fiction again, because also at the time I was I was religious then, and now I'm not. But I thought God was going to punish me, that he was going to come after me. So it was a whole ordeal. I am glad to have rediscovered it in my adulthood because I can appreciate it so much more, and I feel like I get to continue off in a place that was abruptly cut off in my childhood, and I feel like it is more appropriate for me in my adulthood because I have better filters for what to let myself be influenced by and what to not. But this fan fiction is a Hermione, Draco and Hermione fan fiction. The story continues in their 8th year at Hogwarts after the war. Professor McGonagall is headmistress, and all the students are resorted into different houses to promote inter-house unity. In this particular fanfiction, Draco and Hermione are resorted into Ravenclaw, which has been a dream of mine to see happen. And it is a slow burn fanfiction, which I love, with a ton of wonderful world building told mostly in Hermione's point of view. I am about 25% through with this fan fiction, which is called Eagle's Nest by House of Aspen, and you can search for it on Google and find it and download it for free. And so far, I am really, really loving it. It is resurfacing a lot of my childhood imagination that has kind of atrophied, which is something I have been really working to reconnect with over the past few years. Anyways, that is all that I have for this vlog. I'm going to get to my writing session in a little bit, and then once I have that done, I will add that clip at the end. For this session, I wrote 187 words.